Hey everyone, Michael Simpkins here. Welcome to episode 7 of the Police Instructors Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. In this episode, I'm speaking with Ryan Roettger, a trainer for the Autism and Law Enforcement Coalition. The Autism and Law Enforcement Coalition provides training to police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel by using curriculum and videos designed to enable participants to recognize situations involving children and adults with Autism Spectrum Disorders, ASD, and to foster a deeper understanding of ASD. The program has been in existence since 2003, and the trainers are first responders who have a loved one diagnosed with autism. Make sure you pay attention because Ryan has good strategies to share with us that can help us in the planning, developing, and implementing of our courses. Make sure to pay attention all the way through, and I'll meet up with you at the end.
Bringing police instructors together, discussing training trends and more. Welcome to the Police Instructors Podcast, where industry training experts share their strategies on how to plan, develop, and design courses in a way that facilitates training retention. Bringing his 23 years of expertise as a police instructor to you, please welcome your host, Michael Simpkins.
Thank you for being here with me today, Ryan. I'm excited you're here. Welcome to the Police Instructors Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
You're welcome, man. Hey, do me a favor. Go ahead and take the next few seconds to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Ryan Roettger. I am a autism instructor or an autism consultant for the New England area, encompassing Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut currently. Our group is ALEC. It's the Autism and Law Enforcement Education Coalition, so it's ALEC. Very quickly about me is I have 23 years of experience, full-time experience, and currently working here for Southbridge PD. Southbridge PD is located about an hour west of Boston in Massachusetts. So I work in Massachusetts but do reside in Connecticut. So I've got a dual action here between both states. Regarding my 23 years of experience, I graduated the police academy in 1996. About 2 years after graduating, I was able to get a narcotic canine. So I was able to run a narc dog for about 7 years until I had to put him down due to cancer. In 2004, I was promoted to the rank of sergeant. And then in 2009, I was promoted to the rank of detective sergeant, where I was in charge of a narc unit and sexual assault unit here in my PD. I ran that unit for about 2.5 years. That ended roughly on or about August 3rd, 2011. What happened on that date is my daughter, Sophia, who's currently age 9, she was experiencing some delays. We went in to see the neurologist, and basically on that date, my daughter was diagnosed with something called Rett syndrome. It's a severely debilitating disorder and disease neurologically regarding her brain. So she cannot communicate. She's completely nonverbal and needs 24-hour care in the home. So my wife can no longer work. So I'm the primary income for our family. But what that did was basically shifted a paradigm in my police career, where I thought I was going within my agency on an upward trajectory, took a dramatic U-turn. On August 3rd, 2011, I walked into my chief's office and tendered my resignation from his detective division and just told him that the battle that was in front of me with regard to my family and my daughter's health was paramount. Upon tendering my resignation from the detective division, I just asked the chief, put me back in patrol where I can supervise the uniformed personnel. And that way I don't have to have my phone on 24 hours a day. And that's where I currently am, and I have been since that time. So, I currently supervise the day shift here, and I'm obviously the autism representative for my agency. And currently I've trained over 5,000 cops across New England, specifically from chiefs all the way down to patrolmen and even part-time police officers all across the New England area to be able to handle situations or to at least get them to be prepared on what they may be able to do in a critical situation involving somebody on the autism spectrum.
Wow, man. Like we were talking about before we started recording, I really, really respect what you all are doing, and I find it very, very interesting the way that you approach the training. I think it's valuable, and to be honest, I think that it's something that law enforcement needs to have available to them across the country. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about that training specifically, just to kind of help the listeners understand exactly what it is that you all do at ALEC?
Sure. So basically what ALEC does is we have a very unique and dynamic training model. So where a lot of your police instructors will run a PowerPoint and teach their subject matter by simply reading a PowerPoint to their audience, that can become cumbersome and boring, and you can really lose the attention, of the reader or of the audience. Where our training model differs is that we bring in actual police officers that have children or loved ones on the spectrum, as well as firefighters. And it's really important because rather than read them, from a PowerPoint projection screen, we incorporate real life experiences that they deal with 24 hours in the home. And then we relate those experiences with the experience that we have on the job. So it's a very informed, a very passionate production or teaching, so that it does not bore them. Nobody falls asleep in our classes. A lot of them are concerned with their own children to be, their grandchildren if they're a seasoned officer. So this autism factor is troublesome. And with that is we get a lot of officers that are very in tune to what we're trying to teach, and it's critically important. So we're able to give a unique dynamic where we're giving personalized experience in the home, and we couple that with our job experience of years on the job and incorporating the two. And I think it's able to produce a really sound product that resonates and that the students or the audience really retains.
One thing that you said earlier when we were talking before we started recording that stuck with me is, what, I guess, the vision of ALEC, and you mentioned having instructors in each state across the country available to teach officers, because you mentioned that, was it Massachusetts or Connecticut, one of the two, or maybe both, the requirement for the academy there is the officers have to go through your training, correct?
Correct. So basically, currently, our autism training is the only autism training provided in the state of Massachusetts. They have mandated this training at the recruit level. So every police recruit, whether it's Boston PD, Worcester PD, Springfield PD, Massachusetts State Police, which I do as well, all of these recruits it is mandated that they get this training. Where Connecticut is starting to follow suit is Connecticut currently has legislation pending at the State House in Hartford, where they too are trying and probably will mandate this training for first responders. And when I say first responders, not just police and fire, as well as EMS, et cetera. And it's critical because it's during these moments of crisis, whether it's EMTs, firefighters, or police, that we're really going to have to rely on this training that we teach them to get them to really slow it down. The typical response that you've been taught in the academy is probably not going to work here. So we're going to try and give you some scenarios or some examples that might help you. The key here is, though, Mike, is we want these guys to take a deep breath, slow it down, and you might have to think outside the box here, because this call you're dealing with, this child or this adult, is very unique. They have unique requirements. They may be not like a computer system, a Dynavox, or an iPad. So it's really a comprehensive training, but it really gets them to take a deep breath, focus, take your time. These calls are not going to be resolved quickly. They're going to take more time, but you really have to provide a unique, personalized service to the client, whether it's a child or it's an adult.
Yeah. How long do these classes last? Is it a day, 8 hours?
No, so it's basically what we have is a 4-hour block. So it's a half-day training. Currently, the way ALEC operates is we provide this as a free training for chiefs of police. So to try and get the training out, we provide it as a free training for the chief of police. they may have some contractual minimums that they have to fulfill regarding their people. But basically, this is a free training that we do. And we try and really market ourselves and get out into the New England region. But the funding that we have is not, it's not sustainable. So we're trying to, secure some nationwide grant funding, et cetera, so we can take this training model across the country.
And the idea, like you said before, the idea behind that is to, like, for example, Tennessee, reach out to agencies within Tennessee. You guys maybe come down, meet with those agencies, let them know, show them
Correct.
exactly what it is that you offer, the training that you offer, and train officers here that so they could actually train, the rest of the state, correct?
Correct. And yes, correct. And the reason why we do that is so, I've been a police officer in Massachusetts for 23 years, but when I go over to teach in Connecticut, the laws of each state are different. So I can give them ideas and theories of how we would handle it in Massachusetts, but you'd have to apply it in Connecticut where there are different statutes that apply. So the same thing would apply in Tennessee. So I cannot, as a police officer, come down and train officers from Tennessee on Tennessee law because I'm not familiar with Tennessee law. But what I can do is give them examples of what we do in Massachusetts. They in turn will replicate it based on statutes there in Tennessee to make it applicable there. But really it's the training model, and it's feasible. It's absolutely feasible. The officers there will have to attribute it to basically the laws in their individual jurisdictions, their counties, or their states.
Yeah. So with that being said, something that I forgot to do, if there's an officer listening right now that may be interested in learning more about your organization, where could they go to find out?
So yeah, they could go to the best bet would be the ARC. So that's the ARC. That's the ARC of South Norfolk, and that's South Norfolk, Massachusetts. That's where we started. So basically, you have these ARCs across the country, and what the goal would be was that we would reach out to the individual ARCs across the country and have them mirror or have them put our training model in place, so that basically, because it's these ARCs that will cater to the special needs populations of the individual states. And then basically that's where they would find out about us. They could reach out to their local ARCs in Tennessee, in Florida, in Georgia to say, hey, these guys up north, they have this great training model. Could we replicate something like this here in Tennessee, here in Georgia, here in Florida, wherever the state is? And then basically what we'd like to do is basically use our PowerPoint presentation, come in and train the officers from the individual states, have them, be passionate and articulate. And I think this is naturally going to come, Michael, because these are police officers in my same shoes that have children on the spectrum in their own home. So they have a lot of experience. It's hugely important. And they're able to use that experience. So let's say they have a 19-year-old son that's got Asperger's. They've got the experience of 19 years worth of experience dealing with their individual child, their son. And they can correlate that with the training that they have on the job. And they're absolutely apt to encounter individuals that will mirror some of the same situations that their particular child will do in the home. So we're able to give examples of in the home that you're very likely to see on the street and how we recommend how you would handle it. So ideally, what we'd love to see is that every ARC, every chapter of the ARC across the country has a group of police officers and firefighters and EMTs and first responders that have loved ones on the spectrum, that have been raising their children or their adults now, that have that experience, and they correlate that with their job experience into a perfect presentation. And that's really what we're looking to do, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that we're going to get this done.
No, I think it very well could happen. And what I'm going to do right now is say, listeners, if you're listening out there and you are in Ryan's situation, you have someone, a family member, a loved one that falls within the autism spectrum, and you may be interested in learning more about what it is that they offer, or maybe even becoming an instructor yourself, find your local or the closest ARC chapter